the agenda for today is introduction to CSS. So we're just going to learn about CSS, like the introduction of CSS. Okay. So during the last section, we learned how to create a site with just HTML, something simple that we did here. And we have the contact me form. We have our hobbies page too. Okay. So it's actually possible to have your website in HTML, okay, with the help of HTML types like the center and then the font, and also using attributes to style it, like background color, change it. So all these are ways that we can use HTML, pure HTML to create our site. Please, if you can't hear me, just give me a signal or something, okay? So this is a live website, okay? It's live and it was built with just HTML. So it is actually possible to create a site with only HTML. But then the disadvantage, there's always a problem when doing, okay.
I think we lost Benes, so we are going to wait for Benes to come back. But whilst we wait for Benes to join us, if this is your first time watching us, this is Teen Leadership and Entrepreneur Development Foundation. My name is Augustina Osabute. So at Teen Lead Foundation, what we do is we mentor and coach teenagers to achieve their career goals. And this is one of our programs. So we are learning coding and programming, and we have our tutors, Bernice and Belinda from University of Ghana, who are taking us through this program. So today we are learning introduction to CSS. Currently we have a WhatsApp group where we have members who are learning the coding class with us. We call it the coding class, Teen Leadership or Teen Lead coding class. So we have the members on the WhatsApp group that if you have any questions, you put it on the WhatsApp group, and then also we do all our communications on that WhatsApp group. So if you are interested in joining us, hit us on Facebook, Teen Leadership and Entrepreneur Development Foundation, or comment here on YouTube and let us know if you want to join us, and you are welcome to join us. Also, at Teen Lead Foundation, we also have our Talk on STEM Careers program, where we talk about the various STEM careers. So when we take a country like Ghana, for instance, we are forced to make a decision at the level junior high school too, to make a decision on which career we want to pursue in future. But at that tender age, most of us do not know the career we want to pursue, and we have no idea the many careers out there. So Teen Leadership and Entrepreneur Foundation has taken it upon ourselves to educate the teenagers about the many STEM careers out there. So that is what we are working on now. So currently we have our Talk on STEM Careers program, and then also we have our coding program. So whilst we wait for Bernice to join us soon, we are also talking about Teen Lead Foundation. So stay tuned, and we'll let Benis join us soon. As soon as we'll come back to you as soon as Benis joins us. Thank you. Okay, so we have Benis here. She's joining us soon. She got off because of network issues. So let us give her some time to join us. So if you want to know more about Teen Leadership and Entrepreneur Development Foundation, you can visit teenleadfoundation.com, and you'll see our website. It's an amazing website. So, and you get to know more of what we do. Benis, please let me know when you're ready, and I'll give you the platform to continue with today's class. Benis, are you ready to go? I think Benis is still having issues with internet. Yeah, some of this really do happen. So as we wait for Benis, I'll continue to tell you about Teen Lead Foundation. So we have an upcoming program this year too. So we do have STEM Careers Conference, and last year we had our STEM Careers Conference in Axim. It's located in the Western region part of Ghana. And this year we intend to have our STEM Careers Conference in Eyinase, also located in the Western region part of Ghana. Our objective is to cover the whole of Western region in 5 years with our STEM Careers Conference, with the objective to stimulate the interest of teenagers in STEM. Benis, please, are you ready? Okay, Benis has started sharing her screen. So I'll let her continue once she's ready. So please be patient with us today.
Okay. Let's organize.
We can't hear you. Can you please?
Okay. That's over. Okay. An introduction to CSS. Okay. And last section, able to build on HTML, pure HTML website. Okay. So actually, okay. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now. But we can't see your screen. So if you can stop sharing and then reshare again, it will be helpful. Okay.
Can you see now?
Not really. Do you mind sending it to me to share?
Okay, sure. Please. Like
Okay.
the 3 of us.
Yeah, you can continue talking. I'll share it very soon.
Can you hear me? Is it better?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So as I was saying, last session, we were able to build our own HTML website, okay, pure HTML. So it's actually possible to have your own, like a real or a full website with just HTML, okay. And this is a site. Can you see the screen? I'm actually sharing my screen.
Please, you cannot see the screen, please. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm trying to download it and then I'll share, please.
Because I'll be doing other things, I think if I'm able to share mine to be better.
Okay.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So as I was saying, you're able to create a website, okay, with just HTML, like we did the last session, using the HTML tags and then attributes like the background color and all those things. And this is an example of a live website. Okay, it is made of only HTML. So I just wanted to show you that so that you know that there's something like you can make anything you want with just HTML. Okay, but then the problem is with the layout. Okay, the layout is a very huge problem. When we were doing this part, like the image and then the text, we had to use tables to do that. And it was very tedious. Okay, using tables are lengthy. You have to write a lot of codes to do simple things, and then it's prone to errors. You can just make a mistake, like maybe you leave a table row tag or something, and then you get errors everywhere. And when you want to make complex things like having multiple rows and columns, it becomes very difficult to achieve that as well. So that's why we need the CSS. Okay. CSS means cascading style sheet. And then its purpose in life, or the purpose for its creation, is to style markup languages like HTML and then XML. So CSS cannot do anything on its own. It's not a programming language or anything. It's just something to help style markup languages. Okay. And then there are three different ways of applying CSS. We have the inline CSS, the external CSS, and then internal CSS. So now I'm going to take us to the VS Code so that we know how each is being used. And inside the index.js, I'm just continuing from where we left the other time. Okay. So I want to change the background of this site. And we know that all the things showing there is inside the body. So when I close the body tag, you see everything is inside the body. So I want to change the background, okay, to something like another color. Let's say, okay, so to change this, you need an attribute called style. Okay, and then the thing that I want to change, or the property that I want to change, is the background color. And then you give it the color that you want. Let's say I want blue. So when I save and then go to my site, it now becomes blue. Okay, so someone would ask that, how would he or she know that he's supposed to bring background color? And also, how will you know blue is a color that exists? Like it's it's recognized by the system to display the blue. So an answer to this, we can find it here. So let's search for change background color using CSS and then tag MDN. Okay, that's my preferred documentation. So I'll just open the first tag. Yes, so from here, you know that background color property sets the background color of an element. Okay, so you know what the background is used for. And when you see this part, so you can actually define your background color with a real word, like the real color word, or using the hex value or the hexadecimal values. So we have the hash symbol and then the value will follow. Another question would be like, okay, so let's try using one of the hex values, and a site that can help us find nice colors is colorhunt.co. Yeah. So we can get nice colors by designers so that to make our website attractive. Okay, in web development, you need to attract your users. So let's say I want to use this color palette. I want to use this. So I'll just copy the second one. I prefer the second one to be my main background. So I'll just paste it here. And in the documentation, we saw that if you want to use hexadecimal values, it has to start with the hash or the pound sign before the actual hex value. So we are expected to bring the symbol here. So I have hash. Okay. When I save this and then go back to my site, now I see that color. Okay. Now I have it here. Okay. Another question can be like, which color should you use the actual name and which one should you use the hex values? Okay. Maybe you have a color and you are contemplating whether to use the color name or the hash. There are a lot of conversions for you, like they've already stated those things down. So I can just search for CSS colors and then like MDN. Yes. Okay. So the reason why I always want us to be searching is that searching for things, okay, it's a very important skill every developer is supposed to have. You need to know how to search for keywords that would help you solve a particular thing that you are doing. Okay. So it's very important to know how to search for things on the internet on your own. Okay. So this, when I scroll down, I see a list. Okay, there's a keyword, there's a hex value, and then the color that it will render. So I can just look through and then select anyone that I like. So let's say I want this color. Okay, so I'll just copy it, Control C, and then paste it here. Okay, and it will still render fine. When I search, refresh my application, I see that color. Okay, but I don't want this color. I just want my old color here. Okay, to do that for, let's say, the horizontal rules, we have a lot of horizontal rules here. We have 3 of them. So it means I have to copy this line of code and then change it in, like bring it here, paste for the HR, paste another one. So it's kind of difficult to do that. Okay, it's very difficult to do that. That's why we need internal CSS. Okay, so we won't be copying the codes and then pasting. Let's say I just want to change this color. I want to change the color from this to what I had previously, like the this. Okay, I want to change it back to this. That means I have to go to all the HR and then change it individually, and it can be very tedious. Okay, that's why there's internal CSS. Okay, so we are going to talk about internal CSS now. This kind of styling is called the inline CSS. So now we are going to the internal. Internal means it's inside, like it's inside that document. So inside the head tag, we can just have our style here. Okay. We have our style, and you have to give the name of the element that you want to change. So we want to change the body. You want to change the body here. Then you bring your curly braces. Okay. Now, after you've brought this, you have to tell it what you want to change about the element or the body tag. So we want to change background color and set it to this. So I'll just cut this here and then paste it in here. Okay, and every CSS at the end, you have to bring a semicolon. It's a syntax. Okay, so it's required that you bring your semicolon here. So what you've done here is that you selected the element that you want to change, okay, which is the body. And this part, the background color, what about the style, or what about the body do you want to change? You want to change the background color. Then this part to what? To this color. Okay, so that's how the styling is done. So when I save this and then go to my site, I still get my initial view. Okay. Now let's try changing the horizontal rule. Okay. So I can just give a space to make it readable. So I'll just bring my HR. That's the element that I want to change. And now what do I want to change about the HR? I want to change the background color, all right, to what? White. So I want to change it to white. So I'll save it and then go back, refresh. But after refreshing, we see that nothing happens. Why is that? Why isn't anything happening in to the HR? We have to know that there are default browser CSS. Okay, so we need to know the default. I'm coming. So we can just search for default browser CSS. Every CSS style or element has any HTML element has default styling. Okay, so I get this from W3 Schools. Let's open and see. I can. Okay, so these are some of the elements and then their default CSS. But I want to find HR, so I'll just do Control F and then look for the HR. Okay, so these are the default styling for the horizontal rule. Okay, they have the margin, they have border style insert. So what is this border style insert thing? We are going to find out soon. Okay. And we also find that the default width or the default border width is 1 pixel. Okay, so now you're going to search for border style to know what this insect does. So anything that you see, you actually have to know what it does so that when you see it another time, you'll be able to handle the situation. Okay, like that. So let's just search for border style CSS, maybe using MDN. Okay. So this is the border style. When I scroll down, I get to know this. Okay, so this is the insert, right? And then they are saying that it displays a border that makes the element appear embedded. So when we check our work, it looks embedded in some way. So that is the default CSS style for it. Okay. But we don't want this line to be embedded. We just want it to be white. Okay. We just want, let's see the none. Okay. So we don't want any border. We just want our line to be white in color. So I'll just overwrite the insect attribute here. So here I can do border style and set it to none. Okay. So let's save, and then you see something happen right now. Now that I've changed it to none, I can't see my horizontal row again. One thing that you need to know is that anything on a website uses boxes. Okay, it's made up of boxes. So when I use, there's an extension called pesticide. So when I click on that, it shows me all the lines. Can you see the lines on the page? Hello. Oh, the screen has stopped. Is it better now? Can you see it? Hello. Okay. So there's an extension called pesticide. Okay. It makes you aware that anything that you have on a site or a web page is made up of boxes. So when we check for the HR, it's actually present. That's the one in red. See, this one's this. It's actually present, but it's 0 pixels, so it has no height. That's what it means. So it has no height. So to see our line, we have to include the height here. So I can set the height to like 2 pixels and save. Now, when I refresh, you see now the line or the, now it's visible. Okay, so initially, these are the defaults. The default styling says that the border style is this, and then its width is 1 pixels. But since you have overwritten it, you have to give it another height. Okay, that's why it didn't show anything until we included the height. Okay. We can also change the width. You can also change the width of any row, any horizontal row. So I can make the width like 100 pixels and save. So this is 100. But then the issue is that anywhere, like any screen size, it will still be 100. And it's not very good to hard code those kind of values. So I can actually change this to 30%. Okay. like 30%. It means that in every screen size, it should just use 30% of the width that it gets. So when it's small, it's still using 30%. Okay. And when I'm increasing it, it increases, like the width increases as the screen increase. So it's just 30% of the entire screen. Okay, so that's what this is doing here. I wanted us to have a small challenge, but I think I'll just have to solve it. So when you guys watch it, then you can try it on your own as well. We have an inspirational site that we'll be following. Okay, this is the site. We'll be doing something very similar to this in the next session. Okay, but for now, we want to make our horizontal rule very similar to what they have here. You see the small dots here. That's what we want to do. So this site is very simple and like well designed. So we'll be trying this soon. Okay, we want to make our horizontal rule like this. Now, using the documentation, we get to know that at this part, at the syntax part here, when one value is specified, it applies to all the 4 sites. Okay. And when you set border style to dotted, this is how it's going to be, like the one at the right-hand side. Okay. So that is the style that we are going to use. We are just going to set the border style to dotted. So let's set it to dotted and see. Okay, let me zoom in. All right, so even though it is dotted, it has like the top border, the left, right, but that's not what we want, right? We just want it to be like this. We just need the top border here. Then we don't need the height. Okay, we just want the border. So when I do this let's see how it becomes. So now there's no height, but it's still showing top, bottom, left, right. But you just want the top. Okay. Yes, and from here, we know that when one is specified, it applies to all the 4 sides. That means it's applying to right, left, top, and the bottom. But that's not what we want. And the second one, when 2 values are specified, the first style applies to the top and bottom, and the second left. That's not what we want. Let's look at the next one, which is this. When 3 values are specified, the first style applies to the top, the second to the left and right, and third to the bottom. So since we want only the top and none for the rest, we use this. Okay. So border style can be dotted, and then left and right, none. Then this to none. Okay, so save this. Now I have my single border top here, right? Like the top of the border is the only thing showing, and that's what I want to do. Okay, so it's getting similar to like what we want. Okay. There's another way we can go about this. Okay, we can set the the border style to none, and then just change the border top to dotted. So border top. and make this dotted instead. Okay, so when I save this, it still gives me the same output. Okay, so there are actually two ways that you can achieve the same thing here. And since we don't have any height, we don't need this background color. Okay, now what will make us get closer to what we are looking for? This is what we want to achieve. So we can just change the size of the dots and then change the color. Okay, so to do that, we just do border color. Okay, to change the color. So let's change the color to say gray. All right. Then to change the dot, it's actually border width to change the dots. So let me do the border width here and change it to say 20 pixels. And when I save and refresh it, now I see very huge dots. Okay, so I think I have to reduce the size. So let's make it something smaller, like 5 pixels or something. Okay, so this is quite better. And then the width too, we can make it smaller, say 5% of the screen size. Okay, so that means this is very similar to what we wanted to achieve, right? Okay. Now, another issue that we have here with this is that when I go to my hobbies, there's the background color, everything is still the way it was. There's no change. When I go to my content, the same thing. Okay, that's because the code or the CSS styling is just in the home page. Okay, that's why we are having the effect on only the home. Do you get it? That's why you have the effect here. So we need external CSS to help us solve this. Else we would have to copy everything here and then paste it in the contact.html, copy again, and then paste in hobbies. Okay, and this can be very tedious. Like, yeah. So we are going to learn how to create external CSS and then link them to your web. I'll just create a folder here and then name it CSS. Okay, and inside the have a called style. So style.css. And I'm going to cut all these and paste it in the style.css and save. Okay. Then get rid of this. And when I go back to my site, it goes like, it loses all the styling that we've done. This is because we've not linked it yet. That's why it's not showing. So you can just link, and then the href will be where the CSS file is located. So in the same directory, it's in the folder called CSS. And then inside the CSS, we have the style.css. Okay, so I'll just select the style.css here. And now when I save and go to my site, I have it here. So to get that styling to the other pages, I just need to copy just this line of code and I'll get all the styling to them. So inside, paste it here. Let's say I add HR here, okay. And the hobbies too, I'll just bring it here. So, and say I have another horizontal rule here, and save. So now when I go to my hobbies, I have the same effects there, right? And when I go to the contact me, I have my effects also working there with just a single line of code, okay? With just this link that we added. So external CSS is also very important. All right. So now we are going to do the debug program that I sent on the page. This is the debug problem 1. So we are going to try to debug there's an error in it, okay? So we want to debug it and learn how to debug things. So in case we get errors somewhere when doing our programming, we know how to handle it. So what I'm going to do is, inside my index.html, I'm going to select everything and then cancel it. Then I'll select everything here, cut it, and paste here. Okay, so I'll save and then run it again. So last time I was saying that you can run your applications in many different ways. If you have the live server installed, the extension installed, when I just right click here, I can click on the live server and then it would run my application for me. If you don't have it too, you would have to copy the link, okay, and then run it in your browser. So because I have my live server installed, I'll just click on this to open the application for me. Okay, so this is the problem. We've lost all our styling. Why is that so? There's something called the developer tools that helps us in debugging our code. Okay, so when I right click, go to inspect. And console here, I can see that refuse to apply style from, so it's about the style, okay? It's not finding the style. So this is where we implemented it, this part, in the head tag. So the problem is from the href. Okay, so now to fix it, we know that our CSS is in a folder called CSS, right? And then inside that folder, we have the actual file, which has our CSS code. So it's in the same directory as the index.html. So we have the CSS folder here. Then inside the CSS folder, we have style.css. We don't have styles.css. So if you make a mistake linking it correctly to the appropriate file, you won't get it rendered, okay? The browser will tell you that it can't find it. So now we've corrected it. Let's save and see if we would have our, okay, so now we don't have any errors, right? Everything is intact. The next challenge or the next debug problem is this. So let me open this with my VS Code. Okay, I'm going to select everything, cut. And then inside the index.html, I'll select everything and clear, then paste it. Okay, now I'll save and go to my application and refresh. Okay, so now the issue is that it's only the background color that changed. The HR and everything is still intact, right? It's only the background color that changed for this. So you have to in debugging your code, you have to know what has changed, what has happened, like what happened to it. So now we know that it's the background color that has changed, right? So let's inspect it once again and see what is happening. Okay, so in this elements tag, we have the console, we have the elements. So with the elements, you can actually select something that you want. So let's say I want to know more information about the H1 tag. Okay, so it selects it and then gives me some CSS here. I want to know information about the horizontal rule. I'll just click here and then horizontal rule, right? And then it gives me all the CSS properties that we defined. So horizontal style to none and all that. Okay, but what we want is the body. Like we want to know what happened to our body. So when I select body, you can see here these two things, that we have a background color set to white and then another background color which has been cancelled, right? So let's check our code to see something. Okay, so we find out that on line 12, this side, the background color has been set to white. Okay, it has been set to white. Let's try something here. Inside the head, I'll have my style, okay. And then body. And then change the background color to say red, right? And then inside the style.css, the external CSS, I'm changing this color to something more obvious, like green. Okay. So when I save it, it's still white. The green and then the red has been crossed out. This is because the browser is giving more priority to the inline CSS. So with Chrome, we can actually debug our code here. So let's say I uncheck this, this first one. So doing this means like canceling this thing, this background to white. That's what it means. But anytime I refresh the page, it will go back to normal. Chrome helps us to debug our code to know like the change that we can make. But if you refresh it, everything is being lost. Okay. So when I uncheck this, now red is showing. The red was the internal CSS. Okay, that means that more priority is given to the inline, followed by the internal CSS before the external. Okay, so if you don't have any internal or inline CSS, then the external would work for the elements. If I have both, this is the inline. If I have the inline and then the external, the inline will work. If I have all of them, still the inline will work. If the inline is unchecked, then the internal would work. Okay, so that is the order. Okay, so internal is giving, the inline is giving more priority, followed by the internal and then external. Do you get it? Mark, any questions so far? Okay, so we are going to move on to the CSS syntax. Okay, so when you talk about syntax, it means the grammar of the CSS language. Okay, so in normal English, syntax would mean like the rules. Every sentence should have a full stop at the end. Proper noun should begin with a capital letter. All those are syntaxes of the English language. The CSS also has its own syntax. Okay. So this is how the syntax works. The selector, then into curly brackets or braces, then we have the property and you set the value like we did here. So this is the selector, the HR, and then you have the curly brackets and the property and then the value. And it's always supposed to end with a semicolon. It can be on the same line, but to make it more readable and all that, that's why we make it on different lines so that it can be readable. So like this and still work, but it makes it difficult to read, especially when you have a lot of properties, okay, and values that you want to. Yes. Okay. So the selector is the who. Okay, we are taking the selector as the who, meaning that who do you want to modify? Who do you want to change? Is it the H1 tag? Is it the paragraph tag? Who do you want to change? Okay, and then we have the property. The property is the what. So what do you want to change about that element? Like maybe you want to change the font size, you want to change the alignment, you want to change. So anything that you want to change about the element is the property. Okay, and then the value is like, how should you change it to? So something like a color can be changed to blue, it can be changed to red, it can be changed to anything. Okay, so that is the CSS syntax for that. The last thing that we'll be discussing is CSS selectors. Okay. CSS selectors. So we have, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So we have the class selectors, the ID selectors, the tag selectors, and then pseudo classes. So what we've been doing so far are actually tag selectors, okay? So we select the tags. Those are tag selectors. There are other ways you can select or use CSS selectors, which is the class or the ID. So we're going to look for like, or have two examples and then okay. So inside my, okay, you can use either contact or the hobbies. So we can use the contact, okay. So after the form here, let's say I want an H1 element saying like, hello, I'm learning CSS selector, something like that. And then we have a paragraph tag saying something like hurry or something. Okay. Let's say we have different paragraphs also saying their own things, and an image.
Hello. Can I ask a question? Hello.
Yes, hello.
Yeah. We can't
Can
see
you
what
see?
you are. We can only see the PowerPoint. We can't see what you are typing.
Wow. Okay, a moment. Can you see it now?
No, just the PowerPoint slide. Okay, yeah, we can see it now.
My VS Code. Can you see the VS Code?
Yes.
Okay, sure. So I just created an H1 tag and then some paragraph tags here. And I'm now going to add an image to it. Okay. So I have image. And the last session, we got to know that image is supposed to have the source and then an alt. Okay, so if the image doesn't show, then the text will show. So let's say the alt is like a girl's profile, something like that. And we can have another image tag, which will be like boys. All right. So last session too, we got to know we can actually find images online and then use it. So when I search for like girls, I just want images to use. Okay. Okay. So say I want to use this image. So I'll just right click and then copy image address and then paste it at the source part. So that will be the image address. And I can find another image. Okay, let me just use this girl here and then copy image address and paste it here also. So when I save, it's inside the contact us page and refresh my work here. Now I'll go to the contact me and I have the like the things that I added, okay, the H1, the paragraphs, the images. So these are those things. And I want to, yeah. Okay, so you're talking about using class selectors, using ID selectors and all that. So I can use an ID selector here. So ID, and then give it an ID, say heading. Okay. And when I go to my styles.css, okay, I can change the background to something nice. Yes, like the old one. So now we're using ID selectors, and this is how you write comments in your code. Okay, so /, then the hash, the star, then anything that you type here is a comment. Okay, so comment helps us to understand what you are doing. It makes us know what we are about. So in case someone takes your work and is reading it or going through it, the comment will help the person know what you were doing or what you are trying to do. It can also help you remember what you were doing. Like you are working on a project for like 6 months and you come back to it, the comment is just there to guide you. Okay, it's not it doesn't get run. Okay, like it's just there for reading, so it doesn't yeah. So here I can just write ID ID selectors, something like that. So to select your ID, you use the hash and then the ID name. Okay, so let's go back to we used heading. Okay. So I'll just bring my hash and then the ID name and the brackets. So it's the same way as the tag selectors, just that you bring your hash, the hash symbol, and then the okay. So we can give it something like color. So the color should be like, okay, this color is okay, the aqua, and maybe the font size should be 100 pixels or something. Okay. So now when we check the site, wow, huge. So we see that the color has changed, the font color has changed, and then the font size too has also changed. Okay. So that's how IDs are being used. So it selects a particular element. Okay, that's it. For the class works in a similar way. So I can have class and then give it a name like my paragraph or something. Okay. So when I go to the style, the way to select your classes is a dot. So you bring a dot and then the class name, so my paragraph, right? Then you have your brackets. So anything that you put here will be affected. So say I want it to be aligned at the center. So text align center. Okay. Control C. So now I can see that the text has been centered here. Okay, so I've centered it. That is for classes. And I can have different or the contacts. Okay. I can copy this class and bring it here. It will have the same properties. Okay. And save. So all of them are being centered. And one thing about classes is that you can have multiple classes. So I can have something like my design or something like that. Okay, and then have the CSS code. So this, I just want to change, let's say, the color. Changing the color to blue, or okay, brown. So you can see this color has been changed. Let me make another color so it will be very visible. Something like blue. Okay, so now you can see. But with what's the name? IDs, okay, you can't have two IDs here. Something like the class, you have my paragraph and then my design. With the ID, I can't have another thing like say, what should I give it? Like I'm just using my age something. So Control C. And here, because it's an ID, I need a pound sign. Okay, the pound sign, and then Control V. That's my age, and then give it any style that I want. So I can give it say text align also. So text align to center. So when I save this, you see, it doesn't work. It even makes it inactive. So only classes can or are allowed to have multiple things, but IDs can't have two. It's just supposed to be one. Yeah, so when I save it and go back, it goes back to like the initial thing that we had. Okay, so the last thing that you're going to talk about is the pseudo classes. Okay, so there are pseudo classes, something like the Hoover and all that. So let's quickly search for CSS reference and then NBN. Okay. So all the things with the column in front of it is the pseudo classes. Okay. And when we scroll down, we can see this Hoover. Yes. So let me click on it and then we know how it works. So for that, you select the element that you want to change, and then this Hoover, then you change the color. So let's have an example. So let's say the image, okay, you want to change the image. So with the image tag, okay, when I hover on it, I want the display to be none. Like I don't want to see the picture. Okay, so I can do something like that. So let's try it and see. Okay, so when I go to my contacts, refresh. Let me try it again. Image, Hoover, display none. Yeah, I should do it. Okay, so my contact. Wow, what's happening? So do you see it? Like it goes. It's supposed to disappear. Okay, so that's the Hoover effect. When I hover on it or on mouse move, the picture should go off. Okay, yeah, so that's what we are seeing here. Yeah. Any questions? Anything that you don't understand? Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Bella. Mark.
Hello, please.
Yeah, so we're actually done with today's section. There's an overview of each CSS. So I was asking if there's anything you didn't understand, anything you want to add to it all.
No, please, I think it's okay.
So you're fine.
Yes.
Mark, anything that you want to ask, like anything you didn't understand? Okay. Augustina. Augustina.
Hello, Venice.
Yeah, so they don't have any questions, so I think we can end.
Okay. So we can end today's class, right?
Yes.
Okay. I guess then we'll get off YouTube then and then continue from here.